everybody, welcome to the beginnings of our clay section. You can see I've got a little setup here. I've got my plastic bag. That's to wrap up my clay projects to keep them moist because I never want my clay project to dry quickly. I've got this, which will be my rolling pin. Some of my little sticks, which will help me sculpt detailed areas. I've got a knife and a fork. The fork is fork scoring, which we'll do later. The knife will help us make good cuts in the clay. It's just a butter knife. I have a food container that has a lid. The lid's important. We'll make something called slip in this later. I have a large mixing bowl or an ice cream style tub. It's large. This is going to allow me to have water to work with. And at the very end, when my hands are totally covered in clay, I'll be able to wash off the chunks of clay into this bowl. I'm always going to work on a piece of fabric, so I could use a pillowcase, a placemat, any kind of flat piece of fabric. Here I've just got a piece of canvas. This is going to keep my project from sticking to the table. I could work on a beautiful project for hours and then try to move it and ruin it because it's stuck to the table and I can't lift it up. So my nice piece of fabric is going to help me. I just have an old wash rag. This is for all kinds of general use. I can dip this wash rag in water and I can put it over my extra clay while I'm working because I don't want my extra clay drying out. You might want to have some paper towel around. A little piece of cardboard is nice too, because after you make a fragile pot or a fragile sculpture, you can put your pot or sculpture on this piece of cardboard and walk it around your house without having to hold it. If it's real wet, just holding it could change the shape of your project. Here I could use this like a tray and I could hold my project gently. All right, you may also have the tool kit from Amazon, which is optional, and we'll get into those tools later. All right, we're going to open up our bag of clay. Whee! All right, so the cardinal rule with clay is never let it dry out. Never let your clay supply dry out. Do not store this outside. Do not ever store it with the bag open. Do not think that that means it's stored. Just a little twist. Air is still getting in there, and it'll make your clay very difficult to work with. When you put your clay away for the day, sprinkle a little bit of water in there. Notice I'm not pouring a gallon of water in there. I'm not. I'm just sprinkling a little water in there and sort of distributing it around the top surface of the clay. Now, I would not just twist it and say, okay, you're closed. That's not closed. Your clay is going to dry out. All right. I'm going to always twist it up with a rubber band or a piece of wire, just like a bag of bread. Do not store this in the sun or outside. All right, there we go. I've also got my cardboard box. And I'll put all my clay supplies in the cardboard box when I'm finished and put it in a safe place in your house away from anything that could mess it up. All right, let's get some clay going. Today we are going to make some basic forms out of clay. All right, I have a piece of dental floss. You can use your hands, you can use a knife, you can use a piece of dental floss. Some clay kits have a special wire tool that you cut clay with. Today we're gonna make some forms, and we're going to mash them up and recycle the clay. So today's project we're not going to keep. It's a learning project. You're going to make some forms. You're going to take a picture of them, and later on you'll be turning that picture in. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of dental floss or my hands or a knife or my wire tool, and I'm going to cut off a piece of clay. It just runs right through the clay like that. It's pretty slick. Boom. Just cuts off really nice like that. Okay, now, beginner bad mistake would be to just start working and leave this clay open. You don't want to do that. Okay, so let's wrap it up. Okay, wire. I'm wrapping it up. Great. I've got my working supply of clay. Sometimes if you don't want your sometimes if you want to keep your clay moist while you're working, you're going to sprinkle your fabric with a little bit of water. Notice I'm not pouring a whole gallon of water on the table. I'm just sprinkling my fabric working surface with a little bit of water. Now I'm going to break off a piece of clay, maybe about the size of a chicken nugget or smaller. Now I have this extra clay I'm going to put to the side. This can dry up and it can be very annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wash rag or a paper towel. Even an old piece of newspaper works fine. I'm going to dip it in water and I'm going to lay it over my spare clay so it's not drying out while I'm working. All right, you're going to make some basic forms today. All right, I'm going to take a little piece of clay. General size is okay. I'm going to roll it in my hands and make the best sphere I can. A sphere is a circle, a flat circle, which is a shape that's been turned into a form, which is 3D. You're going to make a sphere. All right, take a little bit of your extra clay. Next, we're going to make a very basic clay form that we use all the time, and it's called a coil. A coil is like a snake, okay? People find that this is a very good way to diagnose your clay. If your clay is too dry, when you make a coil, it gets cracks all over it and it breaks into little bits, and that's when your clay is too dry. We really would like to avoid our clay getting too dry because it's kind of time consuming to get it rehydrated, to get water in it again so it's soft. All right, so you'll take your time and make a nice coil. Coil is also known as the name cylinder. All right, so now I've got a sphere and a coil. Next I'm going to let's make a cube. Cube's fun. So for a cube, you're going to start with a sphere. Whee! All right, and you're going to go to a dry part of your cloth. So for a cube, you're going to start with a sphere. Whee! All right, and you're going to go to a dry part of your cloth, and you're going to gently tap it until you have a flat surface. Then you're going to flip it to the opposite side, gently tap it until you have another flat surface. Now I've got two flat surfaces. Now I'm going to go and pick another side and tap it until I have a flat surface. Go to the opposite side. So you always go to the opposite side. Now I'm getting what looks like kind of cube-like. And this is just something that takes a little bit of time. It's really fun. You just keep turning it and tapping it until you get a really nice form that is a cube. If you are patient, you can get a really excellent cube using this technique. All right. For the sake of speed, I'm not going to spend 10 minutes on my cube. But if you just keep going, you're going to get a really nice cube. All right, put that over with your other forms you've made. Let's make a cone. So we're going to start with a sphere. Okay. Got my sphere. All right. I'll probably lay it on a semi-dry part of the fabric. And then I'm just rolling one side of the sphere. Am I rolling both sides? No, you can see part of the sphere is still sticking out. See? I'm just rolling my hands real gently on one side of the sphere. And I'm starting to compress it into what looks like maybe like a Hershey's Kiss. Okay? There we go. Take your time. Okay? So now I have something that looks like a Hershey's Kiss. All right, now I want it to be a cone, so I want a flat bottom on it. So here I go, just tapping the bottom. Make the very best cone that you can. There you go. Got a nice cone, like an ice cream cone. All right, put that over with your other forms. Now we're going to make a pyramid. Let me make it a little more clay. I'm always keeping my clay covered with a damp cloth no matter what. That way it's going to solve a lot of problems for you. All right, I got my sphere. Now I'm going to make it into a cone. Okay, notice I'm just rolling one side of that sphere. Whee! All right. Now I'm going to basically make a cone. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing I did to make the cube, because I got to give it some flat sides. So I'm giving it a flat side. I think I'll make a three-sided pyramid this time for fun. And I just keep turning it. There you go, turn it, tap it. A little bit of the dry fabric is better for this than the wet fabric, because it releases your clay easier. It doesn't stick your clay to it. Okay, there you go. Whee. So just take your time. Once again, this is a demo, so I'm not gonna take quite as much time as you will. But here, you get a nice little pyramid. I found the three-sided pyramid was easy. You can try four-sided, whichever you prefer. All right, so I got a nice pyramid form. All right, so these are your forms that are going to be due today. These are the forms that are going to be due today. Sphere, coil, otherwise known as a cylinder, but we call it coil in ceramics. Cube, cone, all right, and pyramid. All right, so you'll be getting a picture of these and turning them in, and probably in the next couple of days you'll turn that picture in. I don't need it today, but I do need you to finish this and take your picture. Thank you. Let's talk about cleanup for a minute. Okay, after you're done making these and you take a picture, you don't need them anymore. So I'll moisten them a little bit. I just dipped my hand in water. I'm coating a light amount of water around each form because they've probably dried out from just sitting around. Maybe I should have thought about putting a wet paper towel over them while they were waiting. All right, here I go. I'm wetting them down. And now I'm going to mash them into a ball or a mass, all right? I would just sort of tap them a little bit to get the clay to all come together into whatever form you like. Just get them all together, all right? I'm gonna open my bag up, probably take a little more water, coat them, open my bag up, put them back inside the bag, make darn sure to seal that bag up. All right, and that clay will survive for another project tomorrow. Okay, now, you've got clay on your hands now. Sometimes when you work in here, you're gonna have a ton of clay on your hands. It's really bad for this to go down the drain in your house or in my classroom, okay? Because what happens is this is like little pieces of dirt, little pieces of sand, and they settle down in the bottom of the drain, and they can clog up your sink. So one of the reasons I have you have a big bowl is you're gonna pre-wash your hands. You're gonna get all of this sand off your hands, okay? Not all, I mean, you know, your hands don't need to be perfect, but you wanna get most of the grit off, okay? All right, you'll dry your hands off. Now you're gonna wait about 20 minutes. And what you're gonna find is in 20 minutes, all the little pieces of sand have filtered down to the bottom of the container. All the clean water has gone to the top because sand is heavier than water. So all the little sand and sediment will be laying down here in about 20 minutes. All the clean water will be on top. And when that happens, let's have a look. You're gonna take now look, this water is still a little gray, but once your water has sunk down, your clay has sunk down, water is clean, you're gonna gently pour only the water into your sink, and you're gonna be left with some clay in the bottom. And you're gonna take a little piece of paper towel little piece, wipe it out. Does not need to be perfect. See how this is a little bit dirty? It's okay. Wipe out any messy, muddy stuff out of the bottom of your container, and you're gonna put it in your trash can. This way, you're gonna keep the nasty dirt and clay out of your sink drain, because I guarantee you would not like to have a plugged up sink. All right, so then we're going to wrap up the rest of our supplies. We're gonna put them back into our cardboard box, and we will be ready again tomorrow.